Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packers visitors locker room. Once again, we have decided to not go outside. No judgment. It is cold, and I am a wimp. So I make the calls here. Spoon, we're staying inside, at least for the time being. Pete and I will be back outside on Sunday to preview the game against Washington. So make sure you come back and you chat with us then. And we will be outside then. You can see the action unfold behind us. You can hear the roar of the crowd, the players making noises, I'm sure.
Yeah, good
doing
luck
whatever
to you
they
guys.
do.
I'll be inside the press box, nice and
It's
warm.
not supposed to be that cold on Sunday, so
Okay,
I'm
that's
not
true.
that
It's
worried.
not.
It'll be okay. I will be fine. So, guys, as always, I'm Olivia Reiner. This is Tom Silverstein, and you are watching our Packers Chat, wrapping up practice Friday, last day of the week. Lots to discuss as it pertains to Sunday's game because we have the final injury report. And before we head on over to Facebook to take your questions and interact with you guys in the chat, we'll read off the injury report. It's pretty short, and there's really no one worth reading off besides the guys who have any sort of injury status heading into the game on Sunday. So the only guys that have any sort of injury status are both Tony Brown and Kevin King, cornerbacks. Tony Brown is questionable with a heel injury, and Kevin King is questionable with a shoulder injury. Now, if history repeats itself, and it tends to under Matt LaFleur and the way that he approaches his injury reports, questionable 9 times out of 10 means active and ready for the game on Sunday.
I think King was a full participant, wasn't he, on Friday?
Yes, he was full. They were both full participants today.
So that gives me a pretty good idea that they're going to play. I mean, I think that's one of those things where you list it just in case they don't play, something happens, it gets worse, and then the league doesn't come down on you because you didn't list it. So I think that's really what that's all about.
And also worth pointing out that Brian Bulaga, he was a full participant in practice today, and he doesn't have any sort of injury designation whatsoever.
It's incredible.
It is pretty amazing.
Yep.
So it's an MCL sprain for him. Is that confirmed? Is that a report?
No, you know what? I have not asked him about it. I meant to this week, but I didn't see him. And I'm guessing that's what it was based on the way he got hit and the fact that he was able to come back so quickly. That's usually what those are.
All right, well, we'll see how long he is out there on the field. He played the entire game against the New York Giants. So he's got another test of health this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, I mean, they should be at full strength. They're pretty much healthy all through the offense, and other than King on defense, too.
Yes. All right, let's take a look at our Facebook comments. Hello, everybody. Hello, Todd. Avi is from Fiji. Are you actually from Fiji? Can we go to Fiji, Tom?
Yeah, no kidding. Let's go.
Is there money in the budget? Do we have a budget?
Yeah, we don't have a budget. We could pretend. We could get a green screen.
Yeah, right. Oh, that sounds lovely. Hopefully the weather is much better there than it is here. We've got a couple of you guys, Rick and Bruce, asking about punt returns, I guess, in general. Bruce wants to know what's going on with the new return guy. Rick hopes that the Packers are working on blocking for the punt returner.
That's probably a good thing to do.
They should be working on it, considering the Packers have probably the worst punt return unit in the NFL.
Not probably.
Definitely?
Yes.
Historically?
I mean, -8. They did manage to tack on 3 positive yards last week against the Giants, so they went from -11 to -8.
But that 3-yard punt return from Traymon Smith was not enough for him to keep his job.
No, it was not. It was not. And so we saw them pick up Tyler Ervin this week off of waivers from Jacksonville, I believe, right? Yes.
Bounced around a little bit before that. He was with the Texans the longest.
Yeah, and he's a fast guy. I looked up his numbers from the combine, and, he's a 4.41 guy. He's 5'10", 190 pounds. He's, got almost a 40-inch vertical. He was strong enough. You could tell, he's got returner ability. His longest punt return of his career is 57 yards. He's got an 8.3 average, which is career average.
More than -8.
Yeah, exactly. And he's been okay on kickoffs. So I think they're desperate. You know, they've got to have somebody going into the playoffs, assuming playoffs. That's something they want to be able to win is field position. And one of the ways you do that is have a returner. And so they really need this guy, or as I said on the podcast, if he doesn't work out in a week or two, go try to find somebody else. Keep doing it till you find the right guy.
Yeah, as much as J.K. Scott is technically kind of part of the defense, and when it comes to putting the Packers in decent defensive field position, the punt returner is part of the offense.
Absolutely.
So that they need to have that edge going forward in the rest of the season and into the playoffs.
Yeah, and if you're playing outdoor games, it won't matter that much the final 2 weeks of the season, but this week and next week they're playing outside, and kickoffs don't necessarily get out of the back of the end zone, so you have some kickoff opportunities in cold weather.
Yeah, no, they do not. And most notably, and Jim Ozarski earlier this week brought this up on one of our live streams, he said that one of the biggest benefits of having Irvin around is the fact that he just has the experience. Traymon Smith didn't have experience returning punts in this league. Darius Shepard didn't have any experience. He's a rookie. Trevor Davis, I mean, that seems like such a long time ago, had that experience, but obviously the Packers parted ways with him.
Yeah, and he got cut by the Raiders after fumbling a punt, and I think he messed up an end around or something. They had no chance at claiming him, and I don't know if they put in a claim for him. He was selected by Miami, which has one of the first priorities. So, you know, I think what's most important is, as much as anything, is that the guy can catch the ball, is he's kind of a natural. And that's what I think they're getting a little bit more. It's not like they're sticking, you know, Valdez Scantling because he's really fast and they're going to put him back there, but he's never fielded punts before. This guy knows how to field punts and kickoffs.
So speculation. I do not know if this is true. I didn't ask anybody about this, but I was waiting for locker room to open up yesterday, and I saw Sean Menenga, special teams coordinator, leave the locker room area to go out onto the field with Tyler Irvin in his pads and helmet, whatnot. So I'm assuming they were practicing fielding returns, right?
Probably.
And not too long after, I saw Tramon Williams follow them out there.
Oh,
so
yeah. Well, he
is
the
Tramon
backup.
Williams is,
I mean, he's been the backup all year. So, yeah, I'm sure that Scott was out there probably. I know on Fridays they go out and kick in the field. If they're going to play at home, they go out on Lambeau and take a few kicks. So
yes. Main point, Tramon Williams, still the backup punt returner.
Yes, that was a good observation.
Yes. So we've got Adrian here. Hello, Adrian. Asks, is Ryan Grant, wide receiver, going to play? The Packers picked him up. It's been a little while now. I mean, he's been with the team for, more than half of the season?
Seems like it.
They picked him up after Devontae Adams.
Yeah, that's right.
Sustained the turf toe injury. It's been a while.
So right after the Philadelphia game.
Okay, so that is a while ago,
5,
and he hasn't been active for a single game.
No, I'm sure he's happy to get a paycheck.
Sure.
But it's got to be frustrating that all he's doing is running scout team stuff. I don't know. I mean, LaFleur was asked about it this week. He said if he's one of the top performers, then he'll be on the 46-man roster. I think he's there because he helps them practice for opposing teams. I think he gives them a slot guy that they can use that they don't have necessarily. I mean, Shepard could do that for him for the practice squad, but he's a veteran guy who can help give really good looks to the cornerbacks.
Craig suggests that the Packers need to stack the box to stop the run. Rookie quarterback Dwayne Haskins will not beat the Packers throwing. This is probably correct. I think he's averaging somewhere around 50% completion rate, which is, he's
not
in
good.
A very early phase of his development. This is kind of a similar situation to last week against the Giants, although I think at this point in the season, or at least over the last couple of games, the Giants do not present as much of a rushing attack and threat that the Washington team does.
Yeah, not with Saquon Barkley being hurt and their offensive line's a little bit weak. I don't know how they, Darius Geis for the first time in his career just really he'd been hurt all his rookie year, and then he finally plays this year and he busts out for 120 yards or whatever it was.
125.
And then Adrian Peterson follows it up. Now, I don't know if Carolina just absolutely stunk. If they had thrown it in, I mean, Rivera got fired right the next day. So it's possible they're not as good as that performance. But I do think they will try to run it. And I think they'll do a lot of play action. I think they'll craft a game plan that allows Haskins to move, laterally, not necessarily run, but get out and hit some nice, easy passes off play action and see if they can, move the ball the way Daniel Jones was able to move the ball. If Daniel Jones doesn't throw 3 interceptions, it's a pretty good game for him.
So how do you envision Mike Pettine organizing his defense? Are they going to be in a lot of base, or is it going to be something else?
Kind of depends on what Washington comes out. Washington could come out in 3 wide receivers and a single back and then just run the back, and he's got to honor the wide receivers. But if I were him, I think even if they did, I'd consider playing B.J. Goodson and just say, to heck with it, we'll cover one of your wide receivers with the safety or a linebacker and see if Haskins can be good enough to actually exploit that.
I believe the Washington injury report said that 2 of their receivers are going to be out. So I don't know where those 2 receivers fall in the depth chart.
Yeah, well, their big one, McLaughlin, the rookie, that's the key guy. I mean, he is really impressive.
There won't be a linebacker on him.
No, there will not be a linebacker on him. And, I don't know if they'll use Geis maybe to go out and see if they can get him matched up on a linebacker. I'm not really sure how that'll work, but Callahan is an ex-offensive line coach, and he likes to run the ball, so they're going to run the ball.
There's no secret, and the Packers have struggled with defending.
Absolutely, they have, yes.
So it seems like it's going to be an obvious one. We'll see how it all pans out on Sunday. Bruce wants to know, why is the Packers offense still sputtering when it comes to getting some consistency? It's a good question. This is something that we talked about yesterday. Jim Ozarski and I discussed this a little bit yesterday. Who knows? It seems like every week there's a different main target or guy who's pulling the production, whether it was, Alan Lazard last week, Aaron Jones. It's been a couple of weeks since Aaron Jones had any real impressive production, since, the Cowboys game was the pinnacle, and it's sort of been inconsistent since then. Devontae Adams is consistently putting up some sort of yardage and sometimes getting into the end zone.
Scoring more touchdowns.
It has been a little erratic. It's been a little bit all over the place. Is it important that Aaron Rodgers has the 1, 2, 3 guy, or is it more important that he's finding outlets all over the place and different guys are stepping up every week?
Yeah, I think it's more important that he spread the ball around, that he hit the open guy, the guy on rhythm, and rely less on the second window. So hit the guy in rhythm. Don't necessarily try to get outside the pocket all the time and make these off-schedule plays, as they like to call them. I just think if you're Matt LaFleur, you have to find a way to get Aaron Jones involved. That's your job. This offense is supposed to be able to pretty much dictate who they want to get the ball, or at least take advantage of what defenses are doing to you. And you can't go this many weeks without Aaron Jones having a 100-yard game total yards. It's just not, it's a travesty for him not to have that many.
Absolutely. I agree. This is what, again, Jim and I talked about this yesterday, and Aaron Jones is the identity of this offense. And I don't think, according to what Matt LaFleur had to say earlier this week, he doesn't really care about what an offensive identity is.
Yeah.
But regardless of what he thinks, regardless of what Aaron Rodgers thinks about what an identity of the team is, fact of the matter is that this team is really good when Aaron Jones is playing really well.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing is teams just saying, okay, we're going to take Aaron Jones out of the game. We view him as your most dangerous player, and we will figure out a way to put pressure on Aaron Rodgers or just drop coverage or whatever they have to do, but they want to cut the head off the running game so that all that play action and all the movement and all the short third and second and sixes or second and fours are no longer there. And that causes Rodgers to get out and have to make these plays. So I think anytime you can shut down their running game, you got them pretty much where you want them, unless you're the New York Giants, who have 3 rookies in the secondary and nobody else on defense.
Yes.
But
Adrian brings up something that was notable, probably one of the more notable things at practice today. So he noticed James Looney, possibly tight end, coming into this year, getting fixated for next year. So I guess
situated.
Yes. I'm trying to, I should probably screen these questions a little bit closer before I read them. But yes, James Looney moving, practice squad player, defensive lineman, moving to tight end. It's such an unusual position.
Well, you and I saw him there yesterday, and I thought, okay, they're just trying to replicate some big jumbo lineup that the Washington uses. But I checked in after practice, and I didn't get a chance to talk to, we're not allowed to talk to practice squad players, so I was going to talk to some of the tight ends, and I was working on something else, and I kind of forgot about it. And then today they listed him as a tight end. And it happens. With practice squad guys, you got the luxury of saying, all right, it's not happening as a defensive lineman. Let's see, we like your foot speed. Maybe you can help us in this regard. I think LaFleur said this gives him a head start on the offseason. So he'll get 4 weeks or however many weeks they're alive of practicing at tight end, and then they'll make a decision in the offseason whether to move him there.
It's definitely interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
He's like 290 pounds, 285, something like that.
He's not super tall.
No, he would be one heck of a big tight end. I don't know if they want him to lose some weight or what, but this is a story for next spring when when they come back in April for the off-season workouts, we'll be looking to see what James Looney is doing.
He should get on the Jimmy Graham diet.
Graham
is notorious for being a super healthy eater.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Well, he looks like it.
He was
He's
the junk food police when Jay Sternberger was on IR.
Oh, is that right?
He wanted to make sure Sternberger was sticking to his diet. Apparently, Jimmy Graham was knocking all sorts of donuts out of his hands.
Oh, nice. It was funny in the locker room today when Graham, now that he's been urged through NFL fines to talk, the players started chanting his name and chanting Jimmy while he was doing his interviews. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yes, this all happened. I was there. Speaking of tight ends, Todd wants to know, is Sternberger going to get some more playing time, need some fresh legs at tight end? He was active for the game last week. He was inactive against San Francisco. Last week, I don't think he really played much on offense at all.
No, he got in for some blocking. He got in a few snaps for blocking, but not much. I think they're there. I think they want him up. I think they realize they kind of made a mistake not keeping him up. He's got to progress. He's got to be a guy they need to keep trying to get on the field. And he's not a liability as a blocker. I think the guy goes after it pretty hard. In fact, I would venture to say he's a better blocker than Tanyan. And so why not give him a shot? And I'm waiting for them to unleash him on a deep route. Maybe they're waiting, as a surprise kind of thing. But, I want to see him play a role in the passing game.
I agree. We talked about this. Was it the two of us? I know you mentioned this on the podcast a couple weeks ago, but maybe it was a podcast leading up to the Giants game saying that the Packers need to start taking some more risks with their personnel and who they're featuring and who they're trying to get the ball to, put some players in some different spots. I think you used Kyler Fackrell as an example.
Yeah, that was a few weeks ago, and I'm actually now starting to feel like, okay, you're in the final 4 weeks. Now's when you got to focus on, you had that chance. That window was there for you to work on those guys. And maybe you can do it a little more against Washington and Chicago, but you also have to get your starters and regulars, the guys that you're going to go with in the playoffs for 95% of the snaps. You have to get them ready. And I think that's why you're seeing less snaps for some of these guys. The Rashawn Garys and, Orrin Burks can't get on the field. Travius Adams can't get on the field. I'm sure there's some others I'm forgetting, but it's time. It's December.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Bruce, final question here. He asks, isn't there another player who is playing both ways right now for another NFL team? Isn't there a guy on the Ravens who's like a fullback and something else?
Yeah.
Skipping.
Oh.
I remember because during preseason.
Yeah.
They played the Ravens, and I don't remember.
It's rare. You got to be a special athlete to be able to do that. A really good athlete. So I don't know.
All right, it's been prediction time. What did you say? Who wins this Sunday? Maybe less. Who wins and what is the score?
Well, I think the Packers will win, but I think Washington's going to give them everything they got. I think Washington's got nothing to lose. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They got some nice young players who are trying to establish themselves. And I think it'll be a closer game than people think.
All right. Well, I said more or less the opposite. I thought it was going to be
think it's going to be a
pretty
blowout?
big margin of victory. I think I said 37-18.
Woo.
Yeah, so
All right.
a lot of points. You know what? Sometimes you
Go
just
to
got to go with your
Vegas.
gut.
She's got
Sometimes
it.
you just got to go off the board. I play it safe a little bit too much with these predictions. It's always like 20-something to low, well, I don't know, sub 20 points. It's not, anything that exciting. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to go crazy. They're coming home for the first time in a while. It's Washington. Maybe there's going to be something magic about Sunday.
Maybe.
Aaron Jones is going to wake up from the dead and do something crazy. So we're going with it. 37-18 is what I said.
Okay.
Or maybe it was 34. I don't know.
I think I said 31-24, 31-27, something like that.
PackersNews.com. All of our predictions will be up, I believe, tomorrow. Tonight? Very soon.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
But you should be checking out
tonight.
PackersNews.com
You're right.
regularly anyway for all of your Packers news. I think that's going to end it for us here. Tom, anything else you have to say to the lovely people?
No, dress warm if you're in a cold climate. Enjoy your weekend. And don't forget the live blog starts at 11:30, 11:25 a.m. Central Time. And be there because we have a lot of fun.
I'll be there.
Yes, you will.
I never forget. How could you forget? The live blog is the best part of the game. You don't even need to watch the game if you're on the live blog.
Well, thanks. It's a lot of fun. It really is.
It definitely is. And my final words to you guys will be, if you're at the game tailgating on Sunday, do not take shots off of dumpster lids. That is banned. If you haven't seen the viral
you told
video,
me about that. I wouldn't. That's beyond insane.
Once we're done here, I'll make sure you see it if you haven't seen it yet.
All right.
Great.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Like I said, make sure you check out PackersNews.com for lots of updates from us. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms as well. Come back on Sunday as we do our pregame live show from Lambeau Field. Me and Pete Doherty will be there at the game to chat with you guys, take your questions, all that good stuff like we